should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
Nothing much, dude. Just living the life here in Tampa. How you been?
I'm doing good, man. Living the life here in the Midwest.
You ready to do this riveting podcast, man?
Totally.
All right, let's do it. What up? What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and on the phone line is the guy who gave me the official first foot in the door in radio. On the phone line, you can hear him every weekend on Dance Factory Radio in Chicago, and he is the co-host of the Chi EDM podcast. On the phone line is the one and only Louis to Live. What up, dude?
What up, Hoppy? I finally made it.
Yeah, man, I've been the worst friend ever. You've done so much for me in radio. And it's not that I've been pushing you aside or forgetting about you, but then I'll book this person and then this person, or then I'll have to work this Bone event. And I'm really tired right now, but I'm like, fuck it. I have to get this interview with Louis in. I feel horrible. There's other people I have to get through, too. Like, I don't want you to ever think I'm too cool for you. You know what I mean?
Oh, not at all, not at all. And the intro you gave me right now, that made up for it all. For the whole time I've been waiting, that intro just did it. If it makes you feel any better, I just woke up from a 3-hour nap myself, so we're on the same boat, man.
Your voice is always booming because people might not know this, dude, but you are the person that goes, Hoppe Hour, Hoppe Hour. That's you.
You know, that was so random when I recorded that. I was like, wait, you just put on the script, you just put Hoppe Hour. All right, how do I say that? How do you want me to say that? So
you did it perfectly. That's what I wanted. I wanted the deep voice to go to break after a rant where I'll be like, shut up, Ted Cruz. I hit the button. Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.
Yeah, those are great, man. Hope they're working out for you.
Everything's been doing good, man. I was thinking about it. I had an internship with a radio legend in Chicago. I did the boot camp, a radio conference. But you basically were the foot in the door to help me get into the business. Like, you basically taught me what I needed to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was happy to help. And as a matter of fact, I was just looking through my emails the other day, and I have the first email you sent me when you were looking for an internship.
Aw, what does it say? Is it like 4 paragraphs? Because what's weird is I'll message people in radio to get them on my show, and then on Facebook, it'll show you if you message them prior, and I'll see something from like 2013, and it's like 5 paragraphs in the Facebook chat box. I'm like, dear Lord.
Right. It wasn't very long, but you were very eager. To say the least.
Well, because I was thinking, I remember I was up at 3 a.m. I didn't get an internship with Clear Channel or CBS Radio, which is fine. And I'm thinking, crap, I need an internship. And I'm like, what do I listen to? And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to go to another corporation because basically in Chicago radio, I don't know how it is for other markets, but when you're an intern for the major radio companies, you're basically their test rat and their go-to errand boy for 7 weeks. They sign the sheets, and then you're gone, and you're no different than any intern. So I'm thinking, Where can I get my foot in the door where I would get actual experience? And I'm like, well, I do listen to Dance Factory on the radio. I listened to it for years. So I hit you up. So you basically were the last call. How does that feel? You were the fat chick at the end of the night.
You know what? I don't feel that bad. I mean, that's kind of like our story. I was the last one on your show. I'm the last one you reach out for an internship. So it kind of fits the mold, you know?
How has everything been at Dance Factory? Because I haven't been able to listen in just because I'm usually out on the weekend or I'm sleeping because I'm tired, and I miss hearing it. Like when I was in Chicago, it felt good to tune on 92.7 and listen to the best dance hits. So how has everything been, man?
Yeah, everything at Dance Factory is good. You know, we just we're up to 10 years now over at the factory on 92.7 and 99.9. So yeah, it's been a pretty good run. No one ever thought we were going to last that long, but we're still there. We're still we've gone through some ups and downs. You know, if you don't know, we started off as a one night only show, which was on Saturdays only. Then we were slowly bumped up to 2 nights. Then it went to 7 nights a week, and now we're back to 3 nights a week. So we've gone through a few roller coaster rides throughout the 10 years, but we're still hanging in there, man. So it's going good. I mean, I'm happy that we're able to provide a soundtrack for Chicago, as far as the EDM music is concerned. And it's just a different outlet for people to tune into. Because like you said, the big corporate companies, their mix shows and stuff are set at certain times, usually late at night. Maybe you'll get a mix at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or at noon sometime. But for the most part, we're all dance music, all the time while we're on the air.
Now,
So
mix shows. Go on.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yep.
Now, mix shows aren't that prevalent here in Tampa Bay, so I'm going to explain. A lot of the top 40 channels in Chicago would have these legendary mix shows where they play the best songs out, and they would put a techno beat, or the hip-hop channels would then have the best mix shows for the hip-hop songs out. But what happened over the years was it became more corporate, and it just felt like they were playing the music that they played during the day with a techno beat underneath, which is why I always liked Dance Factory Radio, was you guys played the top techno songs and the top EDM songs that were out, but the mixes always came off genuine and original. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I mean, of course, with the top 40, you got to play, what's in your regular rotation. So what better to do than to play a dance remix of a top 40 record? So those are huge, and don't get me wrong. I mean, they're definitely part of the dance landscape. But we go a little bit further into it with independent artists, a lot of artists you won't usually hear on top 40 radio, so we do deal with a lot of independent artists and tracks that you won't hear on the regular radio. So definitely a more unique setting for us.
How much has Dance Factory changed besides the time schedule and the amount of nights you're on? The format. How has dance music changed between 2006 and 2016?
Are you ready to go on a rant for the next few hours?
I'm down.
Yeah. I mean, to put it nicely, I mean, it hasn't gotten better, that's for sure. But just listening to the music back in the early Dance Factory days, it really brings back memories to think about, how great the music was back then. I hate to get stuck in the old, in the old school or reminiscing phase, but it's true. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of music out there, and I think you just have to do your job as a DJ to kind of filter through it and pick the good stuff, because it's going to get filtered out. So how it's changed, I think technology has changed it a lot. You got a lot more people producing music. You got a lot more DJs out there making music. The tools are readily available for anyone out there to go and start making a track. So I think it just makes it a little bit harder, and you just have to really be on it as far as looking for the tracks that are good and doing your job as a DJ or a radio host to make it public, to let the people, make them aware of what's out there. So,
did you notice how, like 10 years ago, it was all about getting crunk and everybody wanted to be a comedian at the same time, and now everybody wants to be a techno DJ? I think that's what kind of watered it down, is everybody's a DJ if you look at these Twitter accounts. And it's like, no, the same thing with podcasts. Everybody has an internet radio show. No, I call my show a podcast because I'm not on the radio yet. It's a podcast. I think what's happening is radio's getting watered down because everybody claims to be a DJ or a radio show when they're not. You know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you're saying. I mean, I don't really have anything against someone saying that they're a DJ. I mean, if they're playing music or whatever they're doing, if they want to say they're a DJ, that's fine. whether you're good at what you're doing, then that's a whole different story. You know what I mean? Whether you're a good DJ, that's a whole different story. So anybody can say they're a DJ all they want, but it comes down to the skills and to your performance at, when it's all said and done. So if you can't, match a beat without a sync button, then there might be some kind of issue there.
Would you agree that you guys are the underdogs in Chicago radio, but that has led to your success?
We've always, I don't really know if we ever really made any sort of impact, if you will, with other Chicago stations, since we're not a commercial radio station. But then again, they're not going to say that we're competition or that, we're any sort of threat. So, but, I think we're definitely right up there with the stations that do play the music. I mean, they're not playing it 24 hours a day, so we're kind of lined up with them when they're playing it. So I do think we do offer another choice for the listener, and I think that in turn, is sort of competition for the other stations as well, even though it's not rating wise. I do think we still, anytime there's more than you doing what you're doing, you're going to have that competition.
Now, I began interning with you guys, I think, in October 2014 after I sent the email in September 2014, just because I'm good with dates. What was your overall impression when my lanky, goofy 6'9" frame walked into the front door on Milwaukee Avenue in Chicago?
I was like, whoa, how tall is this guy? I was like, okay. I had no idea you were that tall. And, I mean, right away I knew that you were a total radio geek, which was cool because, we all are. And I was eager to teach you whatever you wanted to know. I mean, I've always tried to help anybody that had questions or was interested in getting into radio, try to help them and teach them whatever I know. I'm still learning every day, and I appreciate everybody that's, taught me along the way. So I just try to pay it back. And, but yeah, you definitely seemed eager. You had your sports show going on. So we were definitely talking shop as soon as you walked in the door. So that was a good thing.
Now, I'm not going to use any names, but remember when I went to the radio school and this certain good-looking girl kind of used me and flirted with me just to get the internship, and she was basically there for 4 weeks because she wanted to have the intern camera on her?
She used you, really?
Yeah, she was like saying, we should hang out on the weekend, like blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, oh, and you intern at Dance Factory? And I was like, oh, I get what she just did.
That should have been the sign right there. Run fast. Turn around. That particular intern didn't last very long. Not even 4 weeks, I think, at the radio station. I mean,
didn't she bring her dad?
Yeah, it was a weird intern interview. I was interning her dad instead of her, really, and I'm not really sure what her whole motive was. She didn't really want to be an intern. She just wanted to be like, the night girl right away. So right out the door. So
how sad is it when you see kids my age, and I saw a lot of this at the radio school, and me saying this, I'm not trying to throw people under the bus in radio, not trying to put myself above people, but how sad is it when you see these people that just want to get the foot in the door and then just get on air and not put in any hustle? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, they're definitely anxious, and they have the well, I don't know if they have the drive. That yet remains to be seen, because you got to put in some work, and the ups and downs in the business and how. Oh yeah, I do. So I think once they get a taste of that, their idea of getting that job right away might actually, the reality might sink in. But I don't think there's anything wrong with someone wanting to be on the radio right away. I think they just have to be kind of slow down a little bit and just got to take it easy and wait their turn. There's a whole lot of people before you that are trying to get on too. But then again, sometimes there's people that just get on a whim, and you just kind of wonder what happened there. But I think it's just a matter of timing and being at the right place at the right time, knowing the right people. It's probably a big combination of things.
What's your favorite memory of our time when I was your intern for Dance Factory Radio? Is there any that come to your mind? I've been trying to think lately.
I think really the one that never left my mind was the time that you were in it. You were supposed to be my intern, but somehow you ended up interning for one of our other on-air guys. And I kind of warned you about it. He was
No, you didn't.
Like,
no, you didn't. Basically, what happened was, and I'm just going to say this real quick, the weekend DJ, I emailed him and I emailed you, and I didn't know that he was new. So he said, yeah, you can intern with me on the weekend. And I remember during the interview, you said, okay, Hoppy, come in on Tuesday and we'll make that your day. You come in. And then I say to you, well, this certain DJ wants me to intern with him on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll never forget your expression. You go, okay.
Here, you know what? Let me tell you why. Because that's a perfect example of wanting to get on the radio right away. He wanted to get an intern right away. You know what I mean? Like, he had just gotten that gig, and he was like, hey, I'm the big man now. Let me get an intern. So that's the only reason I was like, this guy just started, and he's already getting an intern. I've been here for 10 years, and I still haven't had an intern.
You know what gave me a bad vibe? I mean, I talk to him occasionally. He's fine, but I'm going to say it on my show. What gave me a bad vibe was when we went to a bar down the block during the show. He's supposed to be there at least till 1 a.m., maybe 5 a.m. I mean, Z to Z would do that. Other people that were in town would be there till 5 a.m. I will never forget. There's a bar down the block on Milwaukee Avenue. And what happened was we went there, and I was 20 at that point. He snuck me in. And then the girl goes, I don't know if I ever told you. The girl at the front, the bartender goes, can I see your ID? And I'm like, I don't have one. And she goes, get out now. So I get out and I get kicked out. And he goes,
really?
Hey, bro, just wait a few minutes. I just had to get a few drinks with my buddy. Here's the keys. Sit in the car. I sit in the car for 2 fucking hours, and I didn't have a key to get back in the Dance Factory, and for some reason he didn't give me his. It was like 40 hours, or maybe even 30 in November, and I'm shivering in a car while he's getting drunk during his time slot when he's being paid to do the show.
Wow. Dude, you never told me that.
No, I told you that. You forgot, dude.
Wow. The funny thing about that is, let's not jump the story here. So you left the bar. There's still more to the story.
And what also sucked, too, was I took the train because the first few months, my dad didn't trust the neighborhood for some reason, even though it's fine. So I had to take the train and walk a half a mile all the way to Dance Factory. And the problem was the train wouldn't go until 8 a.m. the next morning because I would begin at 9 p.m. on Fridays, and then I wouldn't get home until 10 a.m. the next day. So I'm basically up for 24 hours, and we would go back to his apartment, and you would hear some girl having sex, getting banged out in the next room, and that was his roommate, and then we're just playing Grand Theft Auto while drinking, and he's just getting drunk, and the sun's coming up, and then every week it was the walk of shame, and I'm just thinking, what fucking internship is this?
Right, we're like, wow, this is the life of radio. Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? You're like really rethinking radio at this point.
And I love to party, but at the same time, this wasn't fun partying. This was like, I felt weird. You know what I mean?
Well, Ryan, come on. You were hanging out with a dude after work hours. I mean, that's a little creepy.
And not just that, I remember he also snuck me into another bar. And what happened was he got really mad at me that I wouldn't sing karaoke in a bar of like 50-year-olds. And everybody had to know because I look young now, so I can only imagine what I looked like 2 years ago. Everybody knew that I was like 20 years old. It was just weird, dude. It was like a bar you would see in Sons of Anarchy. It had that vibe. Like we always went to these really sketchy bars, man. It was, oh, Lord. It was weird.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of weird looking back at it now, especially that you were underage.
And then what else happened was the day he got fired, I remember I came in that Tuesday. He got fired on a Sunday. And I was going to say to you, I'm done. I don't want to intern anymore on the weekend. And when you came up to me and said, we let him go, I felt bad, but a part of me was like, oh, thank fucking God. How about when he got pulled over and for some reason, somehow in some way, he was a no-name weekend DJ. Everybody on Dance Factory Radio isn't that famous. And somehow, in some way, dude, the cops knew who he was. So he goes on the air and begins the shift at 9 a.m. going, and shout out to the 18th cops for letting me come on air today. Shout out to the 18th district. I was like, what?
What? Yeah, and funny thing, I've become best friends with those two cops because they came back about a week later. They scared me. I was actually coming to work. I pulled up in the parking lot, and they kind of pulled up right behind me. And I was like, okay, what did I do now?
Yeah, right.
So they're like, I get out of my car. They're like, hey, Louis 2 Live. I'm like, oh, my God, they even know my name. So I was like, is this somebody I know? Maybe this is a childhood friend who's a cop now. I know him. They were like, hey, Louis 2 Live, we know you're a good buddy. I was like, oh. Really? I'm like, well, he actually doesn't work here anymore. They're like, oh, he doesn't? Oh, well, did he tell you that we stopped him last week? For driving without a license, and I don't remember what the whole list of stuff was, but luckily he said that he worked with you and at Dance Factory. Otherwise, we were going to give him a $2,000 ticket.
Oh, my God. Because I think he had this thing called a DUI on his record that I was not aware of.
Yeah,
oh, man.
So after I told them that he doesn't work, after I said he doesn't work here anymore, they were like, we should have gave him the ticket, So I saved them a couple grand. But, yeah.
So now let's talk about the podcast you're doing, Chi EDM. How's that going, dude?
Yeah. Man, Chi EDM is awesome, man. That's it's a great podcast that we just started with my co-host, Dylan. He works with me at Dance Factory, and we've decided to start this podcast. It's been going since January, and basically, we're interviewing EDM artists, DJs, and it's a weekly, every other week podcast that we bust out, and it's going great, man. We're having a blast doing it. We're loving talking to the artists, and can't wait for what's coming up for the rest of the year.
Who are some of the best artists you have interviewed so far? What are some of your favorite interviews?
The first interview that we did was with one of my favorite artists growing up, Crystal Waters. We had an opportunity to speak with her. Gypsy Women and 100% Pure Love from back in the 90s. We also talked to the Chainsmokers, which they got a couple songs out. The Roses song, which is really big this year. So they were really cool. We just talked to Jess. She's a big trance vocalist, so she was great to speak with. And we've talked with quite a few other people, some up-and-coming artists, and actually a couple artists that we're looking forward that we have lined up. Don't want to mention the names right now, but yeah, those are the ones we've done so far, and we got many more coming up.
Where do you want to see this show go in 2016?
I want to at least get a year of podcasts out, and if we if we complete at least 1 year, we'll sit back and kind of take a look at everything and see where it's headed at that point. So if we're able to complete 1 year, I'll be satisfied. So I don't really have any, I'm not looking too far ahead as far as the podcast is concerned. It's what we do. I mean, we interview people. It's kind of like a radio show, but produced, so I don't see myself really stopping doing the podcast. But then again, I can't say it might go in a different direction. But we do at least want to keep it going for the rest of 2016 because we don't, EDM might fizzle out too, so you never know.
What's the chance that EDM could fizzle out? Do you see it potentially happening?
Yeah, for me, EDM is just just the title. It just kind of incorporates a whole load of genres. You know what I mean? Shitload of genres. You got anything that's made electronically is EDM for me. So, EDM as a genre, I don't think that really exists. So I think the EDM term as a genre might fizzle, but EDM in general is electronic dance music. That's been around, and it'll always be around.
Now, before I let you go, you are a man that is up to a lot. How can people hear your show? How can they hear you on Dance Factory? And how can they get you to do some voiceover for their podcast?
Yeah, totally. I am on Dance Factory Radio every Friday through Sunday in Chicago from 7 to midnight, 92.7 and 99.9 FM. So if you're ever in Chicago, tune it in. On the web, you can find me at louis2live.com. I'm kind of revamping the website, so if it looks under construction, that's because it is. But otherwise, I'm on Facebook at 2Live Radio, and at Twitter, you can follow me at Louis2Live. That's LUIS, the number 2, LIVE. And my mixes and stuff, you can find them on Mixcloud at 2Live, Mixcloud/2Live.
Well, dude, you are the reason I have confidence in this business. You were a guy that was loyal and didn't need to exploit me for material because you were a guy that had class and always had my back and taught me a lot. And I'm definitely going to have Miss Lady B on soon as well. So this was a lot of fun having you on Hoppe Hour, dude.
Hey, Hoppe, man, appreciate you having me. Finally, I won't hold it against you. But, it's been a pleasure being on the show, and I'm looking forward to checking out.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Real quick?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah.
End it by doing the best Hoppe Hour.
Hoppe Hour.
Thanks, dude.
See ya.